Hey guys, Magnus here, bringing you another Fear the Walking Dead character video. Wait, I do the main show. Well, that is right, I'm doing the spin-off series that is Fear the Walking Dead. Now I'd like to preface this by saying that this will not be as regular as the main show. This is simply just going to be an occasional video I release. Now you may be wondering, what happens if Morgan or Sherry or Dwight dies on Fear? Will they be a Fear the Walking Dead character profile or a Walking Dead character profile, or will I do one for both show? Well, they're going to be a Walking Dead character profile because I consider them Walking Dead characters. They first appeared on that show. Now today we are looking at arguably the protagonist of the series until Morgan came along and stole it from her, and that is of course Madison Clark. Now Madison's fate is technically deceased, but it was left unseen and there is every chance that she is alive. Also, we could be getting a lot more of her story in the Tales of the Walking Dead upcoming series, but I'll cross that bridge when that series comes. Now, if in a few episodes' time, or a few seasons' time, Madison is revealed to be alive, then that is fine. This video will stay up, but if later she actually dies, and we know she's dead, I'll make a part 2 for Madison to wrap up the rest of her story. Anyway, Madison is the main woman. She is of course female, she is played by Kim Dickens, she is early to mid-40s and first appeared in Pilot. Mother to Nick and Alicia, stepmother to Christopher and wife to Travis. Madison was born in Montgomery, Alabama in the early 1970s. Her father was a senator, but also alcoholic and abusive. One night, Madison shot and killed her father in order to protect her mother from the abuse. Madison worked as a bartender for a short while, using that to pay her way through school. After her graduation, she moved to El Sereno and worked as a guidance counselor for Paul R. Williams High School. She met a construction worker named Stephen Clark and married him. The two had 3 children. The first was Nick, the second was unfortunately born stillborn, and the third was Alicia. Later though, Stephen committed suicide by purposely crashing his car. Madison's son Nick was a recovering drug addict and was at an important meeting and had to break the news to Nick that his father was dead during this meeting. As Madison continued to raise her 2 kids and work, she met Travis Manawa, a divorcee with a son of his own. The two then started a relationship and later married. In Season 1, Madison is at home, living a normal life when she gets a call that her son Nick was in an accident. Madison rushes to the hospital, dismisses the police there, and talks to Nick. Travis volunteers to look after Nick whilst Madison goes to school to work. She is welcomed by Art Costa, the principal, who comments a lot of students are not coming in because of some unknown illness. The metal detectors go off when a student named Tobias goes through and Madison takes him to another room. Tobias has a knife on him and warns Madison about what's going on, but Madison dismisses him. Travis tells Madison about the church that Nick was at, but she dismisses it too and his concerns. She finds out Nick escaped from the hospital and her and Travis go to look for Nick, going to Calvin's house, but Calvin hasn't seen him. Travis takes Madison to the church where Nick was and she sees the massacre that happened there. Nick phones Travis and Madison go to see Nick at the waste ditch. Nick reveals that he killed Calvin. The 3 go to look for Calvin and they find him gone from where he was shot. The 3 go back to the car when they see Calvin as a zombie, but unknown to them, Madison goes to talk to him, and Calvin tries to bite her. Nick hits Calvin with the truck, but even that doesn't kill him. Madison then desperately tries to call Alicia, as Travis calls Chris. Eventually Alicia calls, revealing that she is at Matt, her boyfriend's house. Madison goes there, and after finding Matt is bitten, she forces Alicia to leave. Madison returns home, talks to Joanna, the neighbor, and hunkers down in the home. Nick is soon going to have withdrawal symptoms and Madison goes off to look for drugs at the school, making Alicia promise to stay with Nick. She gets the meds and she's met by Tobias, who is looking for stuff himself. Madison helps get Tobias the stuff that he needs and they hear something over the intercom. Madison and Tobias go to the entrance of the school, but then they see Art, but as a zombie. Art attacks Madison, Tobias stabs him and falls down the stairs. Madison then gets a fire extinguisher and kills Art. She drops off Tobias and returns home with the meds and breaks down in tears. Travis calls Madison and tells her that he's stuck in the city due to a riot. Madison later sees the Cruz family being attacked by Peter Dawson, another neighbor. She plays Monopoly with her kids waiting for Travis, but a dog begins to bark at the door. And then they notice a zombie Dawson coming towards their house. They rush through the back door to another neighbour's house to get a shotgun, but as they get the shotgun, Dawson has entered their home. Madison sees Travis going to the home and rushes back to save him. Daniel then shoots and kills a zombie Dawson. Alicia gets grabbed by a zombie Susan, another neighbour, but is okay. At night, Madison asks Liza to kill her if she turns into a zombie. Madison and Travis decide to leave in the morning, but before, Madison wants to kill Susan, but Travis tells her not to. The family head out, but as they head out, Madison sees Susan's husband, Patrick, return. She rushes to him as he embraces his wife, but Susan is then shot by the National Guard, and Madison and co. are surrounded by them. Madison and Travis are forced to stay in their home because of the National Guard. She tries to adapt to a new life, living with the Salazars and trying to care for Nick. Travis and Madison argue. Chris shows her the video of the blinking light, and Travis and Madison have some make-up sex. Madison goes outside the gates that the National Guards have formed to see the surrounding neighbourhood destroyed, full of bodies, and more National Guards patrolling. She hides from them and returns back. She talks to Daniel, who tells her a story of his past. The National Guard come to take Griselda and Nick. Despite Madison's best efforts, though, the soldiers take her son. She then blames Liza for it. Madison finds Susan's suicide letter in Alicia's room and looks for Alicia in Susan's house, but finds Daniel, Ophelia, and a tied-up Corporal Adams. Daniel tells her that he's going to get information from the man, and Madison agrees to let him. She later finds a bloody Daniel. Travis visits Madison, asking her if he knew what Daniel was doing. Madison is there when Adams tells Travis about Operation Colbart. Colbart includes the termination of all civilians. Madison tells the kids to pack up while she prepares with Travis what the plan is. Daniel comes back from the stadium and they argue what to do with Adams. Adams tells them that they still need him to find Nick and Griselda at the base. Madison gets ready to leave, taking one last look at the house she's lived in for all these years, and heads out. Madison and co. wait for Daniel. He tells them it's time. She leaves Alicia and Chris with the car and breaks into the base. They find the holding cell area and ask the people about Nick. They free them for the information and then go to get Nick. But they find him behind a locked door in a corridor with zombies coming towards them with Strand. But they can't get it open. It looks like Nick's about to die, but then Liza comes and they open it in the nick of time. The group kills some zombies and head out to the car park, but Adams holds Daniel at gunpoint. Ophelia is shot and Travis goes apeshit, causing Madison to calm him down. The group head to Strand's place. Madison notices Liza crying as she hugs Chris and goes to comfort her at the beach. Liza reveals that she was bitten and asks Madison to shoot her, twisting Madison's proposal earlier in the season. Travis arrives and they argue, but eventually Travis shoots her. Madison then comforts Travis as he grieves. In Season 2, Madison is waiting for Nick as bombs go off around Victor's house. She kills some zombies and heads out, leaving the mainland behind, and gets on board the Abigail. Madison sees the raft with the 20-odd people on board and she asks Victor to help them, but he shuts her down. She catches Strand speaking Spanish to someone, is there for the funeral of Eliza, and then she tries to comfort Chris and helps set up dinner with Daniel. Chris and Nick go swimming and Madison watches in fear as a bunch of zombies are around floating in the water, and Madison warns Travis that whoever shot up the boat is nearby and coming their way. Due to a logbook Nick found, they know that San Diego is gone, and they also need to hide due to some incoming ship. They decide to dock on Katrina Island. Madison sees a light there and goes towards the house, and they meet the Geary family. Madison talks to Melissa, and Madison tells Travis that she thinks something is not right. Madison then finds out that Melissa wants them to take the two youngest Geary children. They are about to take the kids when Wilma, the youngest, turns and eats her mother, Melissa. George Geary then tells Madison to take Harry, the other younger child, and they get on boat. But then Seth, the oldest child, shows up and takes the boy back as Madison watches Seth shoot a zombie Melissa. Madison and Travis have sex on the boat as it creaks. Madison waits for Travis anxiously as he tries to unblock something underneath the boat by scuba diving. Madison is told by Daniel about the plan to go to Mexico and confronts Strand about it. She tells Travis, wanting him to support the decision, but Travis is not sold. Madison watches nervously as Daniel and the kids come back from the shore when they arrive with Alex and Jake. Madison sort of stands there as Alicia argues with Strand, but they manage to meet in the middle and allow them to kind of drift off behind the Abigail in their little dinghy. As they head off the Abigail, though, Madison watches in horror as Strand cuts Jake and Alex loose. A raft then arrives later with a bunch of people, and they climb on board. Madison goes to help the pregnant one, which is called Vida, and she is knocked out by her. She is taken to a room with the others and tied up, and she tries to distract Vida as Daniel tries to untie himself. Connor boards the Abigail, the leader of the group, and takes Travis and Alicia. Reed is preparing to kill everyone, including Madison, and she begs to let them go. Then 2 of Reed's group are shot by Luis. Daniel grabs Reed's gun, and Madison stabs Reed. Later, Madison goes on the raft and rescues Strand. Daniel tells Madison they can use Reed as leverage against Connor. She argues with Luis about rescuing her family, but Strand helps her by half a day. Madison tells Strand to stop sending Nick on errands, and they argue. Then she talks to Nick, and they argue. Madison talks to Connor over the radio and proposes a trade, Reed for Travis and Alicia. And she agrees to be the one to bring Reed to Connor. Madison hears a gunshot and finds that Chris has shot Reed dead, though. Madison asks Chris about it and tells him not to worry about shooting Reed and screwing up the deal. She argues with Nick once more because he wants to be the one to do the trade, and Madison takes the zombie Reed with her and meets Connor. Madison lets Reed free, and of course he bites Connor. They fight Connor's men, get on the speedboat with Travis. Alicia then jumps into the water and they return to the Abigail. Madison hides in the engine room when the Mexican Navy arrive on the Abigail, and there is a shootout, and she's obviously there when it happens. She heads to the Mexican mainland and gets on there, and she kills some zombies at a church but has a close call. She and her family then arrive at Celia's house grounds. Madison hands over her weapons in the grounds and heads inside. She overhears Nick and Celia talks to Celia with some bluntness. Madison talks to Strand and Thomas, bringing them booze. She promises to look after Strand when Thomas dies. Alicia tells Madison about Chris threatening her and not helping Madison at the church. Madison tells Travis that they argue what to do, and then Madison stays the night with Alicia. But when a gunshot happens, she wakes up to see Chris holding a knife over them. Madison goes to the gunshot to see that Strand has put down Thomas. Madison and Nick argue some more about the dead and Celia. She talks to Victor and where he's going to go now that he's been exiled. She watches the funeral and talks to Alicia about Strand. Madison worries about the whereabouts of Travis as he's gone out to look for Chris. Madison tries to bargain for Strand with Celia but is unable to. She tells her that she wants to understand her way of seeing the zombies, and Celia takes her to the wine cellar where the zombies are being kept. And when Celia goes inside, Madison locks the door behind her, causing Celia to be devoured. Savage, Madison, savage. After the fire caused by Daniel breaks out, Madison looks for Daniel, but can only find Ophelia and Alicia. They go off with Strand, but they see Nick along the way, saying that he couldn't find Travis, and he also wants to go by himself after he realizes what Madison has done. Madison is forced to leave Nick, and they head back to the Abigail without Nick, Travis, Chris, or Daniel. Madison tries to look for Travis and Nick, but they can't, so her, Alicia, Ophelia, and Strand go to the Abigail, but they found that it's gone. So instead, they go to a hotel. There, her and Strand share a drink. They get very drunk as Strand plays piano, and they fight some zombies drunk when they arrive. She heads to a safer room by doing the guts trick, and later finds Alicia banging on the door, and they let her in. Madison talks to Elena and Hector, who reveal they did something very bad to the wedding guests. Madison helps get a truce so that they can all work together to clear the hotel. Madison leads the hotel zombies out of the hotel, off the pier, with the help of Elena, Oscar, Andreas, and Hector. Madison begins getting everything in the hotel to work. She helps Victor after he's stabbed by Eileen. Madison makes the rule that if anyone is violent to someone, they have to go. Madison heads out with Elena to the market to get medicine for Strand, but Oscar is not allowed in. Madison and Elena enter, talking to Antonia. Madison hears arguing upstairs. Elena translates, and it's clear the gang members are talking about Nick. Elena and the men, though, don't answer Madison's questions, and she's carried out of the market. Madison arrives back and turns on the hotel lights to hopefully draw in Nick. Alicia tells her it's to turn it off, but Madison and her argue, and Alicia is mad because she thinks she's risking everyone else's chances just because of Nick, and she doesn't seem to care about her too much. In the morning, a bunch of refugees arrive and Madison is reunited with Travis. She asks him about Chris, but Travis is clearly changed from being out there on the road. Madison and Travis then talk about what happened with Chris. Madison tells Alicia the truth about her father's death and that he actually committed suicide. She talks and watches Travis sleep, and she goes to see the refugees. Madison notices two of them are speaking English. She talks to them, figuring out that Chris is dead. Madison asks Strand about it, who tells her not to tell Travis. Madison tries to sneak Brandon and Derek out through a crowd, but a crowd of refugees form and Travis figures out, demanding to know what happened to Chris. Madison takes the two guys to a room to find out what happened and watches as Travis brutally kills them both, trying desperately to get the door open as he does. Oscar was injured whilst trying to get the door open. She goes to Travis, but Elena begins to kick him out. She tries to stop them from kicking him out, but she's unable to. Madison then puts down Derek and Brandon when they begin to turn. She argues with Strand as he doesn't think Travis can stay. Madison and Alicia decide to leave with Travis, but Strand obviously wants to stay at the hotel. Madison gets Elena to agree to let Travis go if they can leave at dawn, which Madison promises obviously to do. Hector and Andreas come and beat and try to kill Travis after Oscar died. Madison tries to stop it, and then she watches Alicia kill Andreas. Strand picks up the gun and tells everyone to get out. They leave, but Strand still wants to stay behind, and so they go off without him. They go to the market where the gang was, finding it empty, but the bodies of Francisco and his family, the people who obviously knew Nick. They look at the license, finding the address of La Colonia. They head to La Colonia and find it overrun and everyone dead. Madison meets Alejandro, and he reveals that Nick headed to the border where there is a base. So that's where they head. In Season 3, Madison and Alicia obviously headed to the base and they are captured. Travis is separated from the two women and brought to an office. There, the two women try to find a way out. Madison is met with Troy and offered tea and interviewed by him. She talks to him about Nick and Travis. Alicia offers a blade to Madison when Troy leaves. And when Troy doesn't let them go, Madison attacks Troy holding a spoon in his eye. She tells Alicia to find a car and takes Troy, spoon in eye, and demands her family. Jake, Troy's brother, agrees to find them, and Madison lets him go and he tries to attack her. Madison is reunited with Travis and then Nick. Jake offers her to come to his ranch, but Madison refuses. But when a zombie attack happens, though, Madison is split up from Travis again, and also Alicia, and is forced into a truck with Troy and Nick. They arrive at the ranch where they find the others haven't arrived. Madison reveals a gun to Nick. Nick and Madison argue a little bit. Madison meets Jeremiah, who seems to think Travis is involved in the chopper not coming back. She denies this and is given a room by Jeremiah. Alicia, Luciana, and Jake return, and Madison is told that Travis is dead. She tells Nick to give over the gun when he points it at Troy, and later grieves over Travis's death. She is met by Jeremiah, who asks her questions and asks her to sign the gun that she took. Madison then tells Alicia and Nick that the ranch will be their new home, and if they have to fight for it, they will, and Alicia explains how Travis died. Madison talks at a service, mentioning that she lost Travis. She gets food, talks to Troy, and tells Nick that they are not leaving. Madison comes to Jeremiah's house and wants reassurance that they can stay. Jake then shows Madison Jeremiah's films. Madison then talks with Jeremiah about his wives, talks to Jeremiah about the hunt that Nick and Troy are on, and then she is shown the armory and volunteers to go on the mission to find the scouts. She sits with Troy, clearly standing her ground. She witnesses the fire at Martha and Russell's house and heads out on the mission. She kills some jumpsuit walkers and has a close call, but survives. They go to the chopper to find it gone, and they have a little gunfight. They keep looking for the chopper. They find Phil McCarthy, who is being eaten by crows. Madison puts him down and Walker shows up. She is forced to drop her weapons and also take off her shoes and walk back barefoot. She walks back and tells Troy everyone needs to rest. Madison arrives back, her feet in agony. She is at the meeting with the Ottos and learns that the land was actually Walker's and his people's, and he was suing for the land before the outbreak. Gretchen talks to her, telling her that her and her family are leaving. She is there when the Vernon family leave and watches the altercation. Madison talks to Troy about it after and listens to his speech to the militia. She talks to Alicia, finding out about her and Jake's relationship. Madison heads out with Nick and Jeremiah when Vern's horse comes back. They find Vern and his family dead, and she is unable to shoot a zombie Gretchen. They also figure out that Troy is the one who did it. Madison shows the bodies to the community and gives a speech to the people, telling them that Walker killed Vernon and his family. Nick asks Madison how she can lie like that. Madison then talks to Troy, telling him that he can be the leader. Madison worries about Alicia, watches Nick cut his hair. Madison argues with Jake and Jeremiah about their daughter being left with Walker. Madison goes on the mission to get Alicia back from Walker, and they do so. Madison drives back to the ranch and argues with Jake. Jeremiah gives Madison a stern warning. Madison talks to Ophelia after she is dropped off by Walker. After people get sick and zombies attack the ranch, Madison helps kill them. And then Nick gets sick just before telling her that it was Ophelia who poisoned them. Madison then rushes after Ophelia, pulling out of the truck and asking her what she did, hitting her. Madison takes Ophelia hostage and takes her to the reservation. Madison goes with Walker with Ophelia hostage and reveals that they were poisoned by anthrax. She returns back to tell everyone what Walker did. Alicia and Madison then go with Troy and some others and steal Walker's trailer with his ancestors' skeletons in them. Alicia gets pissed at Madison, learning that she lied about what happened to Vernon and his family. Madison goes to meet with Walker, handing him his father's skull, and they are given until sundown to leave unless Jeremiah is killed. Madison tells the story about how she killed her father to her kids and meets with Jeremiah and tells him to kill himself for peace. He denies, but Nick soon arrives and shoots him dead. Madison tells Nick to go and pretend that Jeremiah killed himself. Madison then hands over Jeremiah's head to Walker. Madison is there when the Black Hat natives show up and watches the confrontation with Troy. She talks to Walker, tells Alicia to look after Jake, attends the meeting and tells Walker that she'll deal with Troy if Jake dies. Madison goes through Jeremiah's desk. She witnesses the aftermath of Terrence after he tries to shoot Crazy Dog. After Walker is mad and wants control of the weapon, she gets Jake to hand over the other key for the armory. Madison goes with Nick to get Troy's gun and watches as the shootout ensues. Madison agrees to exile Troy and agrees Nick can be punished but not exiled. Madison goes off to exile Troy with Cla. They arrive in the middle of nowhere and tell him to get out, but Troy attacks Cla. Madison fires a shot and Troy knocks her gun away and begins to tackle her, but she gets the upper hand. She then watches him walk away. She talks to Walker about the trading post in Mexicali. She talks to Jake and some others about their plans, and they head out and tell everyone to maintain the peace. Madison and Walker head out to the market in Mexicali, and she gives up the radio for credits. She goes to Maria for some water, and she sees Strand, who is in some trouble. Her and Walker knock out the men that are handling Strand, and they run off. There, Strand reveals the dam. They rest, and Madison awakes and talks to him, but then Walker reveals to the Proctors where he is. Strand is taken with the Proctors. Madison drinks, but Madison saves him by using all of the gold that they were going to use to buy the water for Strand's debts. Strand drives them to the dam, but they come across a herd of zombies. But they get away. Strand then takes them to an underground sewer tunnel. They go down and head there. Madison finds out about Daniel and the dam, and then she reveals they have Ophelia at the ranch. They make it out of the sewer after brutally destroying some zombie, and they meet Daniel. Madison meets with Lola, but she doesn't accept a trade. She goes to Lola to bargain for water. Madison talks to Strand and decides that she defo wants to stay at the ranch. Walker leaves, a tanker explodes, and Madison is able to broker a deal with Lola. Madison and Strand head back to the ranch with the water, and she tells Victor that she knew that he blew up the tanker, and they pick up Walker on the way. Madison arrives to find the ranch overrun, and she saves Alicia. Madison comforts Alicia, who wants to go off on her own after everything that's happened. Troy and Nick go scout the place that Alicia's going to, and Madison and co begin to head to the dam after everyone at the ranch is dead, but Ophelia falls off the truck as they begin to head there. As, of course, she has been bitten. Ophelia demands to be brought to her father. Madison tells Ophelia to act like she's alright when they reach the market. They trade most of their weapons to get in and also have a room. Madison argues with Strand about trading so many weapons for a dying Ophelia, but Walker tells her what she's doing is right. Nick arrives back, telling her that Alicia does not want to come with them, and Madison cries. After the meeting with Daniel is upcoming, Madison takes Ophelia to the meeting place where they're going to meet Daniel, before promising Ophelia to put her down, but sadly, she dies before Daniel arrives. Daniel breaks down, holds Madison at gunpoint as she explains what happened, and Daniel tells her to leave. And she does, and hears Daniel putting down his daughter. Daniel later meets with Madison and talks about Ophelia and tells her that she can stay. Madison watches over the dam and talks to Strand. Troy brings the news that the Proctors are coming to take the dam. Madison is mad at Nick for using again, and she visits Walker and Crazy Dog, who leave. Madison talks to Troy, who admits Nick is his only friend, and he also admits that he got right with everything that has happened. She says that her and Troy are also good. Troy shows Madison how to use the detonator, but Nick arrives telling them that Strand sold them out and Daniel wants to kill Troy. Troy reveals he led the horde to the ranch and Madison kills him, to Nick's horror. The Proctors arrive, Nick and Madison flee and meet with Strand, who takes them to a secret room. She hands Strand the detonator and locks them inside. Madison has this weird Christmas dream with a bunch of dead bodies returning. A bunch of dead characters returning and some heads and arms coming off and lots of freakiness and blood and graves. Very odd. Nick and Madison argue if she ever wanted him dead, and they also argue about Troy's death, lots of arguing. And then Nick and Madison point a gun at Strand, wanting to take control, but he gives them uniforms and tells them to come with him. Strand then admits that he shot Daniel to her. Madison and Nick are taken to the bridge with Strand, pretending that they are captured, but Lola begins to shoot at the Proctors and is killed by Proctor John. Strand, Madison and Nick are captured by Proctor John. Madison tells John that Daniel is dead and Alicia have an awkward reunion. Her and Alicia have an awkward reunion. Nick tells John about Troy's death and John laughs about how perverse the family is. John admits he's going to kill everyone. They're taken to the dam to all be killed. They say their goodbyes, but Nick grabs the detonator from Strand and uses it as leverage. Nick tells John that Madison and Alicia are going to take the Zodiac across the river, and he'll stay. Madison, Strand, and Alicia get on the boat, but the boat doesn't start properly until they do, and they begin to head down the river. Shots go off. Nick blows up the dam. The boat capsizes, and Madison is left in the water and washes up to see people collecting the water. In between season 3 and 4, Madison escaped the dam disaster somehow and also saved Strand from drowning and nursed him back to health. She also went out and found Luciana. Very odd. She met up with Nick and Alicia, and the four went to a big spot and cleared it out, but they got separated and Madison went looking for her children. In season 4, she found Althea and sneaks up on her, asking her for her truck. Madison is tripped up by a snare and shoots Althea's dinner. Madison talks to Althea, gives her the wrong keys. Madison looks for them, finds her tapes. Althea tells Madison about the tapes and how they're interviews and asks to cut a deal. Althea tries to tackle Madison, but she is knocked out. Madison drives the truck. She begins to go through all the tapes, watching them. Althea gets Madison at gunpoint and gets her to surrender the truck and takes her story. Madison tells her about an injured bird that Alicia and Nick nurse back to health. Alicia gives Madison some food and she heads out to look for her family, and she finds them. She finds Nick, Strand, Lucy, and Alicia at a hotel. And eventually then they find the stadium and set their base there. They also found a person called Viv, a man called Cold, and one day they looked for Viv's husband, Douglas. Eventually they began to plant crops and build a base and a life at the stadium. Madison talks to Charlie about her family and where they are. Charlie is a child they found out on the road. She begins to hammer up something at the stadium, clearly not sleeping much. She talks to Douglas and Viv about looking for Charlie's family, but they are not happy about it. Madison, Alicia, Strand, and Luciana head out and look for Charlie's family. They find June there. They get into a bit of trouble, but they bring her back to the group. She talks to June and asks her to join the group. Suddenly, Mel and the Vultures show up, and Madison meets them. Mel tells her that she can either stay or give up their shit, because either way he's going to get it. And he knows about the weevils that they have. He also reveals that Charlie has been spying for them. Mel camps outside the stadium, waiting. Madison continues to build despite the Vultures being out there. Madison heads out with Nick for food. Mel dumps the book back that was left for Charlie. Ennis taunts them by finding food first in a house. Nick goes to hit him, but Madison stops him. But when Ennis persists, Nick takes a knife and Madison has to stop him again. They head back with nothing, but on the way they find a field of bluebonnets. Madison joins the others who are eating and looks for places that the vultures haven't gone to. Madison sees Strand's car, talks to Nick about travelling far for seeds and fertilizer, and is brought to June who wants to set up an infirmary. Madison checks up on Alicia in the new infirmary. She talks to Strand, finds June leaving, and goes out to June's old base. They stop off at a place, kill some zombies, eat some supplies, and talk with June, and learn that she was actually going to leave. They sleep but wake to find that June is gone. Madison decides to go to June's base anyway, argues with Strand, and also learns that he stashed a car that he found the other day. They go to the base and find June surrounded but safer. She learns about June's daughter. They arrive back with a ton of supplies and the vultures pack up and leave. Mel gives her a final warning as he leaves. Madison asks Alicia to stash some supplies away from the rest of the group just in case something happens. Madison checks up on the regrowth of the place and tells Nick rations will get them through until the crops begin to grow. And she talks with Nick about it all working. She gets a call from Douglas saying that Charlie has arrived and asks them for help. They arrive at a bus to see Mel has been injured. She decides to bring him back, but Nick disagrees. They bring him and talk to Mel, who reveals that Ennis is going to make the stadium fall by bringing a bunch of dead to them. They find that Mel is telling the truth as Strand brings back their flags with the number of zombies on them. June talks to Madison about the safety of the stadium. She goes to Mel and tells him to leave. He pleads with her to be given Charlie, but she refuses and pulls out a gun on him and tells him to, leave. Nick admits he was afraid of being away from Madison and disagrees with sending Mel away. Madison talks with June some more. Alicia and Nick are coming back after they secretly went off to go get Mel. Ennis arrives with the zombies on the truck, and Alicia, Nick, and Mel are left in the middle of it. Madison, Strand, and Luciana go to save Nick and Alicia. The rest of the group fled despite Madison's warning, and their convoy is taken down by walkers. R.I.P. to Douglas, Cole, and Viv. Madison then lights a flare to draw the dead away from Strand, Luciana, and her kids. She led them all inside the stadium to hold them in so her kids can get away. She tried to escape but couldn't, so she locked herself in there with the dead. She shoots a few of the dead, but there are too many. She says her final goodbye over the radio, and then this happens to Madison. She is either burnt alive or devoured by the dead, or a bit of both. Outside of the flashbacks, we hear mentions of Madison and her sacrifice throughout the rest of the season and in the later seasons too. But that is it for the character of Madison Clark. Okay, so that was long, the longest I've ever done, and I'm sorry, but Madison is the biggest death that the show had, and I didn't want to gloss over a lot of the details. And like I said at the start, she was the protagonist of the first 3 seasons at least. I liked her character a lot. She was someone who had done things in her past, like kill her dad, but the world made her your normal mother, wife, and schoolwork until the outbreak came when her true potential came out. I think what they did with Madison was a little disgusting, I'm not gonna lie. I think Morgan taking over was a desperate attempt to revive the show and wasn't fair on Kim Dickens, who had established it for so long. If the show was that dire, they should have just wrapped it up with the 4th season and not bothered with the whole spin-off thing. I think her death is a little disappointing and made purposely sort of unseen and unknown in case the crossover didn't work. It's been a while now, so I think it's likely she did die in that episode, but again, like I said at the start, it's very possible that she could come back. Scott Gimple, Kim Dickens, they've all hinted at it. And she never clearly said yes. No one's ever clearly said yes, she is dead. Madison will always be remembered. She wasn't always amazing. I didn't always love her, but she was a decent protagonist for sure. I really hope in the Tales of the Walking Dead show, they show us what happened in between season 3 and 4, because that is so confusing. And I would like to see some more Madison Clark. So thanks for watching. Tell me your thoughts on Madison Clark. tell me your thoughts on her death and her removal from the show. I hope you have enjoyed this one. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.
What did you do? You tell me what you did!